very good evening to everybody watching. Thank you for joining us tonight on the evening review. My name is Toivan Jabela. Tonight on the platform, I'm joined by Alfons Badi, who is an entrepreneur who is closely monitoring the conversations around the issue of middlemen. Do we need them? Must we get rid of them? Who are they actually? Who is a middleman? And Alfons is here to weigh in and share with us his perspectives. Thank you very much, Mr. Badi, for coming through. The issue that is being talked about right now is that I think the biggest of all related to that is the Ministry of Health, which has seemingly decided to do away with middlemen. The minister is approaching individual manufacturers to supply the ministry with medical supplies and whatnot. And therefore, a lot of money goes to procuring medicine as opposed to paying people who are topping up to do this job for you. Your thoughts?
I personally, as an entrepreneur or businessman, I just think the fact that just the middleman has been targeted, I think there it's where the ministry, from my perspective, I think the ministry is wrong there. For the simple reason that the middleman is not just someone who stands up and go to the ministry and tell the ministry, no, I want to supply you Panato and I want to supply you this Panato on this price. There must be someone at the ministry who asks for the quotation or who put the tender for Panato, for example, on tender.
Yes.
And that person should have known what does plus minus what does a Panato cost in the market. We have so many private pharmacies, and so you can go everywhere and ask what is the price of the Panato currently. And then you can put in a range where you can say the Panato is, for example, maybe $10. Any person who asks Panato maybe $8 less or $8 or maybe $12, above $12, you'll say that is too high. I can't buy it. If the person also quote you less than $8, you'll say it's too low. This person cannot afford to buy these things. But now, I don't know how it happened. Somehow the ministry should maybe come out and tell us, no, something just went wrong. The system broke down and people just came and say one Panato from $10, it costs now $100. And they just accept and just buy it.
I understand you, Alfons, but it's, I mean, the Prime Minister is calling it common sense. He is saying, if you in your household can send your daughter across the road to the tuck shop to buy a loaf of bread and eggs, why must you hire a third person to do that for you? Why? Because even in the procurement, I understand you're saying the adverts, these people are probably just reacting to adverts. But the new government came in and said, no, do not even put those adverts in because we have officials that ought to be able to do that themselves. What's wrong with that?
No, the point is this, you know, we are now 35 years after independence. There are companies that have been established that have supplied these things over and over. And in the same vein, those companies, they are not, it's not just me alone in my office ordering those things. There are people that have been employed. There are shops practically, people with warehouses to sell these things to the government. For you just to come in and say, now I'm taking away this thing, what will now happen to those people?
So, yeah, I understand that because that is exactly the, it's almost being used as blackmail to say, oh, please don't cut us out because we have employees. If you take us out of the chain, we are going to lose jobs and whatnot. But we must still weigh to say, okay, if you have a budget of 1 billion, for argument's sake, to acquire pharmaceutical and medical supplies, and nearly half of that goes into middlemen and only the other half goes to actual procurement. Can you imagine, Mr. Badi, how much more we could actually, how much more medicine we could actually procure if the other half was also spending medicine rather than middle people?
I don't know if you say almost half of them go to middlemen.
Yeah, that I just say hypothetical
No,
number.
it's okay, I understand.
Yeah.
My point here is, as I said earlier about the $10 and the $100, if the ministry have budgeted those things, they don't even need middlemen to come in. The issue here is really most probably the government or the Ministry of Health specifically have to look at the people that are really working there in the procurement, the people who are ordering things, and so and so. If you can really fix that, then you really don't need, this issue will not pop up. Because I can tell you, in the same ministry, when it comes to construction of clinics or whatever, you will not hear there that there is the middlemen or the people who are doing construction have overcoated the ministry or undercoated the ministry. Because there is standards. They will say 10% less or 10% above. That is how it is. If you are less than 10%, they will know, the ministry, the procurement people will know that you won't be able to finish that project. If you go above 10%, they will immediately say, this guy, he wants more out of the project, because that is what we have budgeted for. So why can't we have the same principle when it comes to construction, also in the medicine? Or is it a matter of the ministry people don't know what is the prices of the medicine?
No, you see, my issue, and I've written a lot of editorials about this issue, is that the whole middleman thing became, because when it's done out of necessity, I have no issue. There are areas in which government lack capacity, and a third party brought in to assist can actually come in handy. That I agree with. The problem is when you have a leadership that says every little thing. How many times do we see the ministries looking for people to secure stationery for them? Really, a ministry cannot go to Walton's or another, if you want to be pro-black, to some other black entities that are in that space and just buy. You must get a person to go and buy for you, and then they top up. A pen that was supposed to cost $8 is now $16. I mean, that is abuse of state resources for me.
Not really. Let me tell you, there was a couple of years when the government stores were procuring for the whole country, and they were procuring a lot of things, from pen to a ruler to a whatever, books and all these type of things. But the government stores had a benchmark price for everything that they have ordered. So you can say that on the other side, maybe the ministry will lose. But on the other side, because it's competitive in that, the government can also score. It can also score, because now if the playing field is leveled, the government will just score all the way to the bank. There is no two stories. Unless there is someone sitting on the other side and control that, then the government will lose in that process. But if it's a competitive thing, you will see something that just costs $10. The people will, if they tender, it will be maybe 10.5, 11, $12. It will just be around there, because it's a competitive and the playing field is leveled. But as long as that playing field is not leveled and someone else sits there, that will happen.
Do you think, Alfons, that it is by mere coincidence that the rise of this middleman regime, if you like, has coincided with a decline in clinical supplies, clinical and pharmaceutical supplies in state public health facilities? Why is it that at the time when the middleman thing, sort of picked up more, because there's a nurse who was sued. She was said to have made some wild allegations against Mr. Kanyama. Her argument was that the hospitals were running out of medicines, but people who are running these middlemen, who are supposed to supply these things, are living lavish lives. Of course, she got sued successfully, but I think in general, she was making a good point. Maybe not to Sharp, maybe not about Sharper specifically, but in general, she was just saying that more money is ending up in the pockets of middlemen instead of actually supplying actual medicine to clinics.
To tell you the truth, Tuibo, when it comes to those things, if you have time, you can go back to the ministry, and then you can ask the ministry for a specific tender. How many people tendered for that? You will find the 600 or 1 billion or 2 billion tenders that were lately news headlines and newspaper headlines, I'm sure if you go back, you will go and see there were 200 to 300 companies that have applied for that tender. For one or other reason, the ministry simply decided, I will just give to this one entity. 600 million, 1 billion or 2 billion, you give to one entity. How do you really expect that person also to deliver medicine on time and all these type of things? Whereby you could have said, no, it's 600 million, there are 200 or 300 companies that have applied. Why don't we look at so that we can spread this also among these companies? Because the moment when you spread it, if you, for example, give me Panato a loan to supply the ministry, it's easy for me to go back to my bank and talk to them. And then they will also say, okay, he's just supplying Panato, we can help him financially. But now you give to one company 600 million to go also to the bank in this economy and things like that. Some of the things he might deliver and some he might not at the same time, because now it's difficult also to get hold of that money. A simple example to tell you, Tuivo, I was on a contract with the city of Windhoek where they wanted to build houses or renovate people's houses in Windhoek. They had maybe around 20 or 30 houses. They listed companies around, maybe I think we were 10 companies. You know what city of Windhoek did? They just said, okay, all of you will give you 2 houses to start building. And as you build, we'll add more houses. And I can tell you those houses were finished in a record time, because now for me to build 1 or 2 houses, it's faster. I can quickly do it. Where I'm going there, take the example, the project that the former president Pohamba introduced. 185,000 houses. It was given to 25 companies. What did we get after that? But in this country, if you go on the record, there's almost 1,000 companies that are in construction or that can build houses. Imagine if you could have followed the same system with City of Windhoek, what could have happened? You could have had better results in terms of house delivery. Maybe we could have around 90,000 and 90% of the houses could have been finished. Because you tell me, I will just give you 5 houses. Once you are done with the 5 houses, I will give you another 5 houses. So the competition will be tough. So everyone will want more houses. So it means that more houses could have been built.
Absolutely. We go for a very short break and return with Alfons Badi. Our conversation continues on the evening review with Alfons Badi, who is an entrepreneur. He knows and understands how things of contracting entities, especially by the state entities, work amid the debate about middlemen. Now, so let me just tell you, you must have read about a company that operates in the medical procurement space that is owned by a 5-year-old. If you go to BIPA, the owner is a 5-year-old child. That is for me one of the key indicators that people were rushing. Maybe you already have one company with your own name, and you know that you can't get multiple tenders. You have to create another one, because that used to be a gold mine. That is one thing. Then there was another company that got 140 million worth of a tender worth that much, and the address was a house somewhere. It's a child of someone very well connected, and that company had, I think, only the owner. And 2 other people, because what people are doing is that they put their own name and 2 other people for social security certification. But in actual fact, there's actually no employees. It's just people brought in for a week's job, and that's it. So for me, the system is rotten. And when we have a government that comes in, and I feel pity for businesses, for ethical and honest businesses, maybe including yourself, who just want to come and get a job, because the government has an obligation also to help you, to give you some jobs so that you also run your businesses. But apart from the costs, one of the key issues, especially when the Prime Minister is talking about common sense, is referring to the issue of the turnaround time, to say there's a leaking roof in Kavango. There's a VTC there in Rundu. Then that leaking roof requires to put out the tender. Then Alfons' company gets the tender. Then Toivo appeals that no, he didn't get it. It should have been given to me. And then the appeal endorses you still, or they turn it around, they give it to me. Then you go to court. By the time the thing is fixed, the rainy season is gone. These are genuine concerns.
No, it's a very genuine concern. For me also, it's a genuine concern. The only thing is with the appealing issue.
Yeah.
I don't know why the appeal committee or appeal board is really there. Because by now, I think they are now running, is it 2-3 years or 4 years? I don't know how long they are there.
Yeah, since 2016, maybe roundabout.
Me, I'm a believer of fixing something that has a problem.
Yeah.
For example, by now, the appeal board, one of their aims should be to perfect a tender document. They should not just wait for appeals to come in. No, every tender document should be perfected. It should be so perfected. If the next tender comes out, those funny mistakes that happened in that appeal that was there should not be there. It should be all about perfecting that tender document. But I don't know whether it's their mandate to do that. Because
but if I understand correctly how it works, Alfons. So you apply, you lodge your application for this tender with the tender board, Central Procurement Board of Namibia. Then the tender board presides over your thing. Then they award a tender to whoever got it. The review panel is a separate entity.
Exactly.
They will not be privy to what is in the documents or whatever. So they only get to know what transpired because, for example, one of the arguments last year was that there's somebody who just missed a page or something like that. Oh, no, the person forgot
to
initial on one page. All others were initialed. And the competitor in that process wanted to this guy who got the tender to be dismissed on the account of just not initialing that page. So it went to the review panel, and then the review panel endorsed the initial thing to say, look, that was just an omission, but there's no material difference really to the bid itself. So I don't think they can correct documents before an appeal is lodged.
No.
Maybe the tender board itself can do that.
Yeah, okay. In conjunction, the review panel and the tender board should make sure that whatever things happen in the other thing, there are some of the companies, there are other reasons why the companies went to the review panel and things like that. But all what I'm saying is we should try to perfect the system so that those small things does not pop up or things does not pop up. We should make sure that it's watertight. If someone wants to take this to the review panel, he should really have a very good reason why he wants to take that to the review panel. So you should make sure your document is perfect.
Yeah. But people will, because it's also an entitlement thing within us. If it's not me, then nobody gets it. I'll continue to appeal. I'll continue. There's too much at stake. It's too many millions. I can't just accept the outcome. And this is exactly why even the president now, Parliament, is contemplating. I think they want to call it a procurement court or something like that, specifically tailor-made only to deal with those matters, as opposed to going to the High Court. There's a criminal case, then the judge is not available, and then what. So there's a real issue. But engage me on the issue of, apart from the medical things now. So the government is saying on small things like broken windows of a school that just need to be fixed, or just to repaint the clinic there. How do we balance? Because I don't believe also in excluding businesses entirely. But the idea to say bring in VTC trainees also to do some of these things as part of their training, but also to give them something for the pocket. That's not a bad idea.
No, I don't think it's a bad idea. Usually entities should have, I don't want to say like petty cash, but they should have some sort of a fund in their budget to say, man, if the window broke, if there's a leakage, a tap leak and things like that, so that they can do sort of local procurement. Or in cases like hospitals and things, or even schools and so. Usually there's handymen at school that are there to fix a tap and things like that. The problem comes in, that tap needs to be procured and it should go through the procurement system. But if we give entities like a school or a hospital that levy to have those smaller things. Maybe they can say, okay, above 10,000, it goes to the next level. Below 10,000, it is within the mandate, or either the supervisor or the manager or the doctor in charge if it's a hospital, or if it's a school, maybe the principal can sign off below 10,000 and things like that, something like that.
Yeah.
Because that will also make life easy for the school. Because tomorrow you don't go there and see a tap is leaking. But that tap, what does it really cost? Maybe at Pukevich it just costs $100 or so. So why can't we just replace it? That is the type of things.
Yeah. My fear is that even the new proposed system can also, it has to be transparent also, because if the minister can approach pharmaceutical manufacturers directly, it doesn't make it free from corruption also.
It does not.
Because you could also just go to your preferred manufacturers, or maybe they would tell you, if you procure from us, we are going to put something in your personal pocket. So there are also inherent dangers in that system.
That it's still there, because as long as the ministry does not address not the middleman but the person on the other side, that person will still continue finding a way to get those things.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes what can also happen, we have now big companies that are established and things like that. I don't know whether it's correct that I can call names. Maybe like GenMed, for example. GenMed, for example, they've already signed contracts with companies overseas for certain brands. Let's say that Econ. Then they will tell, oh, you are calling from Namibia. Yes, okay, we have a representative there in Namibia. It's GenMed. So you should just buy through GenMed. So who benefits now? Then it's just GenMed, for example, who benefits, because they have already signed a deal with GenMed. But on top of that, what you are also saying, as long as the people that have done these things with the middlemen are still in those positions, I can tell you, you will see yourself that those things will be unearthed. One or other time it will be unearthed. There's no two stories about it.
Yeah. But don't you think that the approach, because the approach of cutting out middlemen is not entirely exclusionary, because if Alfons here can produce painkillers, you have your own manufacturing company there in Northern Industry, La France. You manufacture those. Government comes to you and buy directly. There's no middleman in between, but they're still procuring from a Namibian. As opposed to government, like some passenger boy saying, Toivo, we are sending you to Alfons to acquire painkillers from him, when Alfons is just across the road. I think that is where the danger is. So I think the middleman that is an issue is where we are saying, why should you not just send clerks, clerical stuff in your ministry to go and buy pens and pencils? Now you have another guy in the middle to do that, then he top up, then the ministry gets lesser quantity because a lot of money goes to the middleman there. I think that is the principle.
No. That is totally correct.
Yeah.
If, for example, I know of guys who are doing pre-packing and things like that, local black guys who are doing that. If you go directly to him and buy directly from him, that is fine. It should not be a problem. But again, how do you control that? How do you control that? If I know you, Toivo, and things, we'll start talking and say, oh, Toivo, from now on, we'll just buy all the panato from you. So what does it mean? The moment when I say that, it means that, okay, now we start talking, what is it in for me if I have to buy from you? That it's where the issue comes in. So how do we really prevent that to happen? Even with the guys overseas, people can talk and say, oh, you want to buy a consignment of maybe 1 billion from China or from India or so. At the end of the day, people become comfortable and people will start talking, and then you will see something is happening.
Exactly.
Something is happening.
Yeah. But in conclusion, Alfons, talk to me about the importance of local indigenous businesses doing business with the state. Because I suppose upcoming businesses and even medium-sized businesses without the state, there's not much business going on. So how do we make sure that the state doesn't cut off completely entities like yours to continue going forward as a country?
I think, for me personally, I think the playing field should just be leveled. If we can level that playing field, and if it's known that this thing costs what, and that is the price that everyone should be around that, I think we can still continue doing business with the state, or the state does not need to go straight to the middleman. But even if the state does not go straight to the supplier or the manufacturer also, but we, as I alluded earlier, you know that even if that happens, where the state now decide, I'm calling India or I'm calling China or who, and procure directly, one or other time, people will just benefit out of it.
Yeah, but how much responsibility do businesses, indigenous businesses, take also to say I take responsibility, I take accountability, because there are businesses that have been so spoiled. They go to government, they get a tender, the owner gets paid, buys himself a nice car. There's no investment into the growth of the entity. The company still doesn't have premises of its own. Because, and there are guys who set up companies only to benefit from the state. To say, no, guys, you see, this stationary thing is actually the main thing now. Set up your own company. Or the medical things, set up your company. You must be found along the way. Government must find you along the way, supplying to St. Paul's or these things already. And if they say, oh, go to Yanyonkirin Katutura also for us, then well and good. But you can't set up a company just to do business with government.
Things have actually, when we started, maybe 2010 and that time, I can tell you, the people wanted to see your premise where you operate. They wanted to come and do inspection to see. Tuevo is saying he's operating from this building. We need to come and see there. And that time you need to prepare yourself to see that there's 2 or 3 workers and things like that. All those things were in place. Certainly the last years, those requirements just collapsed. It just collapsed. So maybe if we can bring those type of things back, then you will start realizing, oh, this company that is running is just briefcase. And some people don't even have people that are working for them. They are alone in that office. It's all.
Absolutely. Alfons, we appreciate you coming to the platform to share your perspectives.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, wonderful. That is Alfons Badi. He is a local entrepreneur sharing his perspectives on the issue of procurement, especially the middleman issue that has been dominating headlines lately. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.